All things real estate.
A new studio. All right, so we are here in our remote studio. All things real estate. We're not in the set. We've got COVID-19. So what do I always talk about? I talk about flexibility. I talk about changing, adapting. So we decided to adapt. Jarred Minieri, Semper Home Loans. He joins me today. You've been on before. We wanted to come back, and I think the point of this really is to talk about the environment, right? I always give my 2 cents on what I see in the environment as far as like real estate, what with listings and buyers and whatever. Now it's good to hear, hey, what are you seeing on the lending side? So just talk about, like, first to start with rates, FHA, conventional, and jumbo stuff. Like, what are you seeing out there, and what's the landscape look like?
Yeah, so it's a, it's a weird, crazy, busy time, right? Mm-hmm. It's weird in the sense of, we're going through this pandemic, and, you think things would slow down, and I think we're busier than it's ever been. Mm-hmm. I know you guys are the same way. I think there's a couple things that's driving. I think people being home probably the last 3 months, especially if you have kids and you're stuck with your kids in your house, that people are probably going crazy.
Right.
As far as the lending environment goes, so everything's still healthy. Rates are at pretty much close to the lowest point ever in history, all across the board. Some programs are a little bit funky. When we got hit with Corona, there were kind of 4 programs that kind of went on the almost got on the chopping block. Government loans, FHA, VA, USDA, just more of the lower credit score stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of investors had tightened up a little bit, like the appetite went down a little bit for those. Jumbos are a little bit weird right now. Can get them done, but the credit qualifications tightened up a little bit. And conventional is what it is. That's the same thing as always.
So FHA, right? So I want to talk about that. So during Corona, FHA loans, everyone was like, oh my God, they're going to shut them down. No one's going to lend. There's no investors that want them. And credit scores went from, and you'll know this better than I, but I believe it was like 620 to 660. Right? The minimum credit score went up, basically, is what I got from it.
Yeah. So, FHA themselves used to go down to 580.
Yeah.
Not a lot of lenders went down to 580.
Yeah.
We could. Now, even when we were doing 580, most lenders kind of set their baseline at a 620.
Okay.
When this whole coronavirus thing hit, there's almost no investor, I think, that's accepting below basically a 620 right now. So 620 is kind of like the new 580, so to say.
Still to this day.
Right now,
so
yes.
July, whatever we're at, July 3rd, today, 620 is the minimum.
Yeah.
You don't see any investors under back to the 580.
No, it's tough.
Will that come back?
Yeah. I think as states are opening up, counties are opening up, things are starting to get back to semi-normal. Mm-hmm. I think that'll get back to normal as well.
So you see that kind of coming back to normal.
Yeah.
So would you say, I personally think that if we get through the fall, it looks like from like sports and activities and everything, it looks like we're going to go through the rest of this year in somewhat of like a different scenario. It's going to be a little weird, a little odd, but everyone's talking about January 1 kind of being that open up and let things go back. So probably by 2021. At some point 2021, you think it'll be back?
I would think so. I think I'm not a political guy, but I think once we get past November,
I agree.
I think things are probably going to start falling back into place November, December, and probably be full swing in January.
I agree. And I think the other thing, here's the good news of what happened. There's too many buyers.
Yeah.
There's too many buyers for all these houses. So by taking that 580 to 620 person out of the equation, at least it gives buyers a little bit more of a chance.
Yeah.
And that 580 to 620, they're on the lower end of the spectrum as far as buying power. They have a hard time getting something anyways, right? So at the end of the day, it may not be an overall negative for the market. At the end of the day, it could be a positive, and then let them come back in next year when hopefully there's more inventory.
Hopefully there's more inventory.
So with you working with buyers all the time, obviously that's what you guys do. Refinancing. Are you seeing a big refinance bubble right now, or a big uptick in refi? Because I know a lot of lenders had that through 2019, through 2020. Now we're here in the middle of the year. Mm-hmm. Is it coming back with rates at all-time lows? Like, where are we at?
Yeah, refinances are picked up through the roof. As soon as rates did that first dip in March, right? Refinances went berserk, went crazy. Mm-hmm. And what happened was there was too much. Mm-hmm. There was too much that came in way too quick. And that's actually part of why rates went back up. So lenders started, investors and banks, they start to just kind of throttle their rates because they need to kind of stem the tide because they were, so like as an industry, I think we process probably like somewhere around $10 trillion a year. Not me, the industry. Yeah, in volume, right? Across the whole USA.
That'd be a good year though, 10 trillion?
It would be a good year.
Yeah.
I think it was those few weeks when rates dropped in March. I think it was estimated almost it was like $3.5 to $4 trillion in applications came through just in like within 2-week period. So you're talking almost like a quarter to almost a third of what would normally be processed an entire year came in the door like in 1 month. And that drowned everybody.
But it shut everything down, right?
Yeah.
They weren't even, like, you guys didn't even want to do them.
So the problem was, you see, it's a two-sided problem, and as consumers, we don't really care about that. But here's the thing, rates going down that low, it sounds good on one end. You're like, I can refinance my mortgage, save a lot of money. You can. On the other end is, it hurts the banks on. I'm not here to talk about profitability and all that, but what happens
it does,
is,
though. The margins are narrow now.
So not only that, but you have people are prepaying their mortgages.
Sure. Yeah.
Investors starting to take a bath, and then we got another issue with government loans and servicers not being able to make bond payments. So when that happens, it sounds good, but it's a double-edged sword. That's the quickest thing to push the entire U.S. into a recession, possibly even into a world recession.
That's a good call. So, right, I don't think we think of it like that. We don't see the other end of the spectrum. We just see low rates. Oh, awesome, low rates. This is fantastic.
Which is fine, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone can refinance, but you don't see the tail end of that with the banks and how that works. So
when you lost your 30% of your 401k in 2 weeks, it hurts on the other side.
Correct. So it's not all gravy. And when rates are low, right, let's talk economics for a minute. There's a reason rates are low, right? So rates are low to stimulate the economy.
Right.
You don't reduce rates when the economy is fantastic.
Right.
Even though the economy on the surface looks good now, they start to raise rates when you want to cool things down.
Right.
So we're not at the point to cool things down yet. So I think that's an important point. To keep this somewhat condensed, I just want to kind of get into your outlook, second half of this year, 2021. What does it look like for you on your end? What does it look like for buyers? What should buyers be aware of? Where are you at?
So I would say there's a couple of important things. I think we're going to have a healthy market from here on out. I think the spring market kind of just pushed back a little bit. Instead of that starting, March, April, it kind of started May, June,
July.
Right now.
Yeah, we're kind of in it now.
Yeah, we're kind of in it right now. So I think we'll have a healthy market through the end of the year. Rates should stay relatively low, probably for the foreseeable future. Inventory is the problem. Inventory is the problem.
I think you're right. So inventory is a huge problem. Rates are positive. Demand is positive. How do you think people that got furloughed or people that are laid off right now, they haven't really impacted demand?
Right.
So what's that look like? Is that something that's not really going to impact it going forward, or is that something where these people are going to get back to work and now you're just going to have more demand?
I think you're going to have more eventually, maybe not right over the next month or two, but I think as we go, and now there's the other side of that, right? Most people that have young kids and school age, right? I mean, what happens in August, right? Everybody's in a mad rush to get into their new house, to get into the new school systems. September cools off a little bit, right? People kind of postpone their search to the next year, right? So I don't know. We got to see how it pans out this year, but I think I think what will probably happen is the people that were furloughed that are starting to go back to work right now, over the next couple weeks, that is probably going to carry us through, October, November, December, when the people that haven't gotten into their new homes, haven't gotten into their new school system by, August, September, are probably going to cool off and, flip their search to next year.
Agreed. The only thing I think that is a big difference is I think at the end of the day, in a normal environment, we know the kids are going to go to school in September.
Right.
I don't think
that's the other side of it too.
I don't think anyone knows. So that's why I think there's no inventory. How can you put your house on the market if you don't know, A, is my kid going to be in school physically?
Yeah.
And if I have to go back to work, who's going to watch them?
Right.
Like, there's too much change, and people don't like change. So at the end of the day, this pandemic has caused so much uncertainty that's why the volume and that's why the listings are down. Is because people don't know what to do. No one knows where to turn.
If I sell my house, can I get a new one?
Can I get a new one, and where am I going?
Yeah.
Like, what city, what town, what's the school look like? Who's watching the kids? How can I go somewhere else and now have to get a babysitter? I don't know anyone there. So I think we're in a really tough time with that. Yeah. But the fact that the market's been so strong throughout, I think is important. I think that's great, and it will. I think I said it all along. June 1 to December 31 is 2020 spring.
Yeah.
I don't think it stops. I think we go June 1 to December 31, and I see what happens. With that, I want to say thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. I think we gave a lot of good stuff out there, and we try to keep this so people can add value and ask questions, and you can share it, and we can go from there. So we'll make sure we tag you in it. Guys, episode remote, all things real estate. Thank you guys watching live. Thank you guys that are going to watch this down pre-recorded. Everyone have a great day. Hey, you watched it to the end. That means you must have liked it. Now do me a favor. Click like, click subscribe, or share this with your friends for future content.